Most people see the patch and walk the other way. They see the leather, the chrome, the rumble of a dozen Harleys idling at a truck stop, and they make a choice to keep their distance. But on a cold March morning at a forgotten gas station off I-40 in Oklahoma, a terrified 6-year-old girl ran straight toward the most dangerous-looking man she could find, clutching something small and trembling beneath her pink winter coat, and whispered the words that would bring 300 riders thundering across state lines within 48 hours. Please don't let them take him back. What she was hiding, and what happened when that biker looked inside her coat, would expose a cruelty so deliberate it made hardened men go silent, and it would ignite a response so massive that a dying puppy became the center of the largest coordinated ride in Hell's Angels history. But it started quietly. The Starlight truck stop sat alone on a gray stretch of highway where Oklahoma farmland met empty sky. Inside, burnt coffee dripped into stained pots while a single clerk restocked cigarettes behind bulletproof glass. Outside, 6 motorcycles sat parked in a tight row near the diesel pumps, their engines ticking softly as they cooled. Raymond Stone Mercer stood filling his tank, breath fogging in the morning air. He was massive, 6 feet 4 inches, 260 pounds of muscle and scar tissue, with a beard gone silver at the edges and hands that looked like they'd broken more than they'd built. The red and white Hell's Angels patch stretched across his back, worn and faded from 10,000 miles of wind. He didn't notice the girl at first. She came from the direction of the convenience store, moving fast but trying not to run, her sneakers slapping wet pavement as she darted between parked cars. She couldn't have been more than 6, small for her age, with tangled blonde hair and a coat 2 sizes too big that she held closed with both hands. Stone glanced up as she passed, assuming she was heading toward the bathrooms. Then she stopped, turned, walked straight toward him. Stone stiffened slightly. Kids didn't usually approach him. Parents pulled them away. But this one stepped right up to the bike, her eyes wide and glassy with tears she was fighting to hold back. "Mister," she whispered. Stone lowered the fuel nozzle carefully. "You lost, kid." She shook her head hard. Then she glanced over her shoulder toward a rusted brown sedan parked near the air pump, where a man in a stained flannel shirt was yelling at a woman through the driver's window. The girl turned back to Stone and opened her coat just enough for him to see inside. A puppy, barely 8 weeks old, maybe less, black and tan, some kind of shepherd mix. Its fur was matted with blood along one side, and its left eye was swollen shut. It trembled violently against the girl's chest, too weak to whimper. Stone's jaw tightened. "Who did that?" he asked quietly. The girl's lip quivered. "My stepdad. He kicked him because he peed on the floor." Her voice broke. "He said next time he's throwing him out on the highway." Stone looked past her toward the sedan. The man was still shouting, jabbing a finger toward the woman's face. "Please don't let them take him back," the girl whispered. Stone crouched slowly, bringing himself to her level. Up close, he could see bruises on her wrists. Old ones, yellowed at the edges. He didn't ask about those. Not yet. "What's the puppy's name?" "Charlie," she said softly. Stone reached out carefully and touched the puppy's head with 2 fingers. It flinched but didn't pull away. The little body was shaking so hard, he could feel it through the coat. Behind him, one of the other riders, a wiry man called Wrench, stepped closer. Stone didn't turn. He kept his eyes on the girl. "You trust me?" he asked her. She nodded. "Then I need you to do something brave. I need you to walk back to that car real slow, and I need you to not look back at me. Can you do that?" Her face crumpled. "But Charlie's not going back to that car," Stone said firmly. "I promise you that. But I need you safe first." The girl hesitated, then carefully placed the puppy into Stone's hands. It barely weighed 3 pounds. She turned and walked back toward the sedan, her steps small and reluctant. Stone stood slowly, cradling the puppy against his chest. Wrench moved beside him, his expression darkening as he saw the injuries. "That what I think it is?" Wrench muttered. Stone nodded. Across the lot, the man in the flannel shirt finally noticed them watching. He straightened, eyes narrowing. Stone handed the puppy to Wrench. "Get him to the van. Call Doc Rivers. Tell him we're coming in hot." Then he started walking, straight toward the sedan, toward the man who thought kicking a puppy made him powerful, and toward the moment that would change everything. The man in the flannel shirt stepped out of the sedan as Stone approached, slamming the door hard enough to make the frame rattle. He was shorter than Stone by half a foot, but but carried himself like someone used to getting his way through volume and threat. "The hell you looking at?" he barked. Stone stopped 10 feet away. His voice came out calm. "Quiet. Dangerous. That your puppy?" The man's face twisted. "What's it to you? Kid says you've been beating on it." The man laughed, sharp and ugly. "Kid says a lot of things. Maybe you should mind your damn business." Behind Stone, the other riders had formed a loose semicircle. They didn't move closer. Didn't need to. The message was clear. The woman in the car, thin, hollow-eyed, pushed the door open slightly. "Please," she said quietly. "Just let it go." The man whirled on her. "Shut your mouth." Stone's hands curled into fists. The girl stood beside the car now, her coat still open where the puppy had been. She was staring at Stone with an expression that looked like hope and terror mixed together. "Here's how this goes," Stone said evenly. "You get back in that car. You drive away. And you don't come back." The man's face darkened. "Or what?" Stone took one step forward. The man flinched. "Or I make sure every truck stop, every diner, every gas station between here and the state line knows your face," Stone said quietly. "And you'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder wondering when we're coming." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the man spat on the pavement and yanked the car door open. "Keep the damn dog," he muttered. He jabbed a finger toward the woman. "Get in." She hesitated, glancing at the little girl. Stone spoke without breaking eye contact with the man. "She stays too." The man's jaw tightened. "Like hell." "She stays," Stone repeated. "Or we have a different conversation." The woman grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her close. The girl buried her face in her mother's side. The man swore viciously, climbed into the driver's seat, and started the engine. Gravel sprayed as he peeled out of the lot, the sedan fishtailing onto the highway before disappearing into the gray morning. Stone stood watching until the taillights vanished. Then he turned. The woman was crying silently, her arms wrapped around her daughter. I don't have anywhere to go," she whispered. Stone pulled a card from his vest pocket. "Shelter's 20 miles east. Ask for Linda. Tell her Stone sent you." He paused. "They'll help." The woman stared at the card, then nodded shakily. The little girl looked up at Stone. "Is Charlie okay?" Stone crouched again. "He's hurt pretty bad, sweetheart. But we've got a doctor who's real good with animals. We're gonna do everything we can." Her lip trembled. "Can I see him?" Stone glanced at Wrench, who carefully brought the puppy over, wrapped now in a clean shop towel. The girl touched Charlie's head gently, tears streaming down her face. "You saved him," Stone said quietly. "That was real brave." She sniffled. "Will you tell him I love him? Every day." 40 minutes later, Stone walked into a small veterinary clinic on the outskirts of Tulsa. Dr. Nathan Rivers met him at the door, a retired Army vet who'd patched up more than a few riders over the years and didn't ask questions he didn't need answered. He took one look at the puppy and his face went hard. "Blunt force trauma," he said after a quick examination. "Broken ribs. Internal bleeding. Maybe a fractured skull. Can you save him?" Rivers met Stone's eyes. "I can try." "Then try." Stone posted a single photo to the club's encrypted channel while he waited. The puppy, bandaged and barely breathing, lying on a steel exam table. Underneath, he typed, "Someone thought this was acceptable." Within an hour, the responses started flooding in. Not just from Oklahoma. From Texas, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri. Riders who'd seen too much cruelty and had spent their lives standing between the brutal and the broken. By midnight, the plan was forming. By dawn, the word had spread to 17 chapters. And by the time Charlie opened his good eye for the first time in 2 days, 300 Hell's Angels were already rolling toward Tulsa. Not for a rally, not for a party, for a puppy who deserved better. And for every animal that didn't have a 6-year-old girl brave enough to hide them under her coat. The sound started just after sunrise, a low, distant thunder that rolled across Tulsa like a storm front no one had predicted. Drivers on the highway slowed, craning their necks as the first wave appeared. A line of motorcycles stretching back farther than anyone could count, moving in tight formation with the kind of discipline that didn't come from weekend riders. By the time the convoy reached Dr. Rivers' clinic, the parking lot was already surrounded. 300 Hell's Angels. 17 chapters. 6 states. They parked in perfect rows, engines cutting in near-perfect unison, and then they simply stood there, silent, leather-clad, arms crossed, as if daring the world to tell them this wasn't worth it. Inside the clinic, Stone sat beside the recovery kennel, where Charlie lay curled on a fleece blanket, his ribs wrapped, his eyes still swollen but open now. The puppy had eaten a little that morning. Not much, but enough. Dr. Rivers stepped into the room, stopped short when he glanced out the window, and let out a low whistle. "Stone," he said carefully. "There are a lot of bikers outside." Stone didn't look up. "Yeah. They here for the dog?" "Yeah." Rivers shook his head slowly. "Never seen anything like this." One by one, the riders came inside. Not all at once. Rivers wouldn't allow that. But in small groups, respectful and quiet. They knelt beside the kennel, some whispering to Charlie, others just resting a hand near the bars. A few left cash on the counter without a word. Others asked what else the clinic needed. By noon, Rivers had enough donations to cover a year's worth of operating costs. But the real moment came when a news van pulled into the lot, followed by 2 police cruisers. The officers stepped out cautiously, clearly unsure what they were walking into. The lead cop, a graying sergeant named Holloway, approached Stone near the clinic entrance. "We got calls about a disturbance," Holloway said carefully. Stone gestured toward the rows of parked motorcycles. "Does this look disturbed to you?" Holloway glanced around. Every rider stood calm, quiet, hands visible. No revving engines. No shouting. "What's going on here?" Holloway asked. Stone told him. All of it. The girl. The puppy. The coward who'd kicked a defenseless animal and thought he'd get away with it. Holloway listened without interrupting. When Stone finished, the sergeant was quiet for a long moment. "You get a license plate?" he finally asked. Stone handed him a photo, grainy, taken from the gas station security footage Wrench had acquired before they left. The brown sedan, clear as day. Holloway studied it, then nodded once. "I'll make some calls." He did more than that. Within a week, the man in the flannel shirt was arrested on outstanding warrants in 2 counties. The woman and her daughter were safely housed through a network of shelters the club helped fund. And Charlie, after 3 weeks of careful recovery, was strong enough to leave the clinic. The question was, where would he go? Stone had thought about it every day. He wasn't home enough to care for a dog full-time. The road was no place for a puppy still healing. But when he walked into the clubhouse that evening, he found an answer waiting. A dozen riders had pulled money to build a kennel behind the clubhouse. Insulated, heated, with a yard and a doghouse painted to match the club colors. They'd even hung a small sign, "Charlie's Place." Wrench grinned. "Figured he's club now. We take care of our own." Stone felt something tighten in his chest, something that almost felt like pride. Charlie lived at the clubhouse after that, cared for by rotating riders who made sure he was never alone. He grew strong, his ribs healed, and his coat came in thick and glossy. He learned to sit when the bikes rolled in and stayed close when the riders gathered. And every few months, a little blonde girl visited with her mother. Both of them healthier now, safer, building a life that didn't include fear. Charlie always ran to her first. She'd kneel down, wrap her arms around him, and whisper, "I told you someone would keep you safe." Stone watched from the porch one afternoon as the girl played with Charlie in the yard, the puppy barking and tumbling over his own feet. Wrench stepped beside him. "You think she knows what she started?" Stone shook his head. "She just knew what was right." 300 riders for one dog, Wrench said quietly. "Hell of a thing." Stone smiled faintly. Wasn't about the dog. It was about the kid who refused to let cruelty win. And in the years that followed, Charlie became something of a legend. Not because he was extraordinary, but because his story reminded people that sometimes the biggest battles are fought for the smallest lives. Because a 6-year-old girl had a beaten puppy under her coat and trusted a stranger in leather to do the right thing. And 300 Hells Angels proved her right.